Well, hello, my diet disruptors. Happy Monday to everybody. And look, I have a lady in red over here with me today. I am so excited to introduce you to Erica. Erica, hello. Say hi to everyone.
Hi, Carrie. Hi, Diet Disruptors.
Oh my goodness. So say hi to Erica. You know, I love it when people are willing to share their stories, but it's also a little nerve-wracking, right?
Yes, it's a little out of my comfort zone.
And I love it though, because you're a teacher. So it's not like you don't get up in front of people and teach, but it's a little different when it's this kind of a format. So give Erica some love, put some hearts in the comments, fire, say hello to her. This way she can have all of that inspiration to be able to share exactly all about who she is and why she wanted to come on today. Erica has a really good story. Now, you would look at Erica in some ways and be like, oh, of course, this is all easy. Look at her. She's like fit, she runs. People do that, right? People like take a look at you from the outside in and suggest or assume your story. And I hate that. And I see it sometimes when like I've had like a full journey. And I know when people look at me now, they'll often be like, well, of course it's easy for you because you're small. Right. And I'm like, we women need to stop body shaming one way or the other. But B, every single person has their story of struggle and everybody knows that of mine, but they don't necessarily know it. And when we see you, like you're a runner and you're fit and all of that. And yet you called me back in December and you were like, I am on the struggle bus. Now, you've been a diet disruptor for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think it was about 4 years ago. It was actually my first year back teaching after being a stay-at-home mom for 5 years.
Okay.
And one of my best friends, Shannon Tracy, introduced me to you. And she was like, I know you're about to head back teaching, but I think you need to try this. And I did your 4 weeks to wellness, which included cutting coffee. And
just for a short amount of time.
Just for a short amount of time. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not doing that when I'm going back to teach for the first time after 5 years home. And I am so grateful that I did. Even like, I still drink coffee now, but I am so glad that I cut that for that 4 weeks because it made such a huge difference in my psyche, my whole thought process, as well as I didn't realize how many things my body couldn't do without. And then when I did, it broke that cycle. And now I'm in control of what I want when I want.
I love that. So like, it's so interesting, right? Because so often we think, Carrie, tell me how to eat. Just tell me how to eat so I don't have to diet, so I can eat all the time. And I know that when we just do that, it doesn't stick, it doesn't last, because what you experienced and I never say we're giving up stuff. I actually say we're going to serve our body for 28 days. And it's what we get to do for our body. I just came off of a 4 weeks to wellness. January into February, I did it. And coffee for me is huge. I'm like a big coffee person, and wine, both those things. But when I didn't do that for 28 days, I practiced the discipline of declining. And just like you said, when you know that you can do it, you realize, I am not a slave to those kinds of things. I am not in shackles.
Well, and for me, one of the big things was with coffee, I have a weird coffee food balance where I have my 1 cup of coffee and I have to have an appropriate amount of food with it or I get really jittery. Yeah. And back then I could not imagine going a day without my 1 cup because I would get a headache by the afternoon if I didn't have 1 cup.
Yeah.
And through doing that initial cleanse, that broke that. So like I got a stomach bug one time and I was like, I don't want to put anything in my stomach because I had this little stomach bug. And I'm like, but if I don't have my coffee, I'm going to be miserable. Then I went through my initial 4 weeks to wellness, which by the way, I didn't even look at it as a cleanse. A huge thing for me was I looked at it as like an allergy elimination diet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a lot of other symptoms, both from having Hashimoto's and from some other thyroid related things, just as well as just overall nutrition. And when I treated it more as this elimination diet to pinpoint what was causing my body not to function the way I wanted to, it wasn't a diet. It wasn't a deprivation. It was like, hey, let's reset what's going on and determine what I need to do to adjust and meet my optimal health. And it was amazing. After 4 weeks, I had people going, oh, I bet you won't even miss your coffee. You're not even going to want to add it back in. That was not true for me.
Not true for me either.
I wanted my coffee, and I still drink my coffee every morning, and it's wonderful. But there were several things that I was able to, as I added back in, I realized like gluten for me, I started adding that back in, and it caused adrenal crashes for me and other gut issues that I realized were, I always blamed my thyroid for that stuff. And
yes,
as soon as I figured that out, it just changed my whole outlook. I can still have it here and there. I just know that this is what feeds and fuels my body in the best way possible.
Yes. And so what you learned, and you're a runner, right? And so training for you is really important. You retrained your body when you did a 4 weeks wellness back 4 years ago. You learned how to fuel your body correctly, which is so important for someone who's going to, I mean, you're running, like I run like maybe down the street, maybe. You're like, I mean, marathon, like full on or half marathon?
Well, so that's actually a part of my huge goal right now.
Right. That's right.
Right now I'm training for my 14th half marathon.
Right.
And so my mileage, depending on where I'm at in my training, I usually run 3 to 4 days a week. 2 of those are speed work. 1 is just an easy, short 3 to 4 miler. And then my long run on Sundays is anywhere. I just did 6 miles yesterday. So it'll just gradually increase by about a mile until I hit 12. And then the next week or 2 hit the half marathon. So my mileage is anywhere from 10 to 20 weeks or 10 to 20 miles per week.
That's amazing, right? So here's the thing with Erica. So when she came in to do the 4 weeks to wellness, there were a lot of health things that were going on, but as well as, I mean, it's like everybody wants to be the leanest and strongest that they can be. Yours, you could really tell based on performance. So you were retraining your body, and then you're disciplined. I mean, you're athletic, you're a teacher, girl after my own heart, right? And so you have that ability to like stay the course. But what I think is so interesting is that now in December, now you've been doing the things, right? You know the concepts, you know how to fuel your body, you understand PFC every 3, you do it to a high level so that you can perform. But tell us a little bit about the last race you ran, because I think this is what's so important. This is why community is important. This is why staying close to it is so important. You got it. You are disciplined. You've been living this lifestyle for a really long time, but it's not like anybody wakes up and they're like, that's it, I'm not doing it anymore. There's like a slow decline in some ways, right? Until we reset again, which is one of the reasons why I reset my body once or twice a year. Because I know if I just keep going little by little, eventually I'm going to be off course. It's like when you're running, right? If you don't really have the place, the route to run on, and you're just running anywhere, you eventually may just get yourself off course. So you had your last run, and that's what prompted you to call me in December.
Yes.
So tell us about your last run.
So as with all teachers, when COVID hit and we went to teaching online, this was my classroom right here, sitting in this very hard wooden chair for a year straight of teaching virtually. And progressively throughout that time, I thought, I kind of had in my mind, oh, well, I'm working from home. I'm going to have less to do. I'm going to hit my runs more. I'm going to hit the trail. I'm going to hit my nutrition a little harder. And just with the way things went, I hate that, but it did. It just gradually declined.
But it was like almost subconscious, right?
It was like, if you were to ask me to pinpoint the exact thing that happened, it was a combination of a million things. I'm a very active teacher. I teach 24 fifth graders, and they're amazing, and I love it. And it's a very active profession. I'm walking around a lot. I do a lot of projects and a lot of small group work. And then I went from that to sitting at this table for a year straight, while still maintaining my own children at home, doing their homeschooling as well. And
who else can relate to that? That change, right?
Everybody.
I mean, right. Put in the comments if you can relate, just write relate, because that's the story of so many people. And it's one of the reasons I love our membership group so much, because I know in our membership group, we all went through COVID together, and there was a group of like-minded people all like, hey, but when you're not there and you don't have that, like little by little, it's like, what do they call it? Like cut by 1,000 scratches or death by 1,000 cuts, right? And it's like one cut isn't doing it, but it's like all of these cuts. And it's again, not like you wake up and like, look at me, I'm just going to derail. It was a year and a half of these little cuts.
And it was just a very gradual thing. And when it really hit me was my last half marathon. I trained, I fought, I'm very diligent when I have a half marathon. I'm very diligent about when my training is. And my last half marathon was August 15th. And it was over the summer, and I was being so good about my training. I still remember hitting my 7-mile run and hitting really great times and feeling awesome. And then I went out of town for 2 weeks, and it rained the entire time. And I kind of just lost the mojo, lost the momentum, came back, did a few training runs, went to run that half marathon, and I felt awful, which was, those of you who knew me before I was a runner, who don't know me as a runner, I hated running. I always call myself the not a runner because I absolutely hated running. When I did the 4 weeks to wellness the first time, my fitness, I actually went out running and got runner's high. I always hear my friends talk about runner's high. And I was like, no, I go out running and I'm like, dear God, when is this going to be over? And I'd get home and I feel good afterward, but I never had that true runner's high. 4 weeks, actually after only a week of eating PFC, following that balance, I felt amazing. I had runner's high, and I was like, holy cow, this is
and then you just started running.
It was incredible. And
you're
then,
like Forrest Gump, you just kept going.
And then like all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is what running is supposed to feel like. I've been pushing myself to do this as just a personal challenge for the last year and a half. But now I'm doing it with changing my nutrition a little bit. And it wasn't even a huge change.
No, right?
It wasn't a huge shift. It was just, number one, I was eating way more. I realized I was way underfueled to be running like I was.
Most people are underfueled and don't run.
Yes. Well, and I was going, I'd eat my breakfast. I'd go several hours. I would eat lunch. I'd go another several hours and eat dinner. And I wasn't hitting that consistency. And when just those little shifts, all of a sudden my half marathon that first time dropped by 15 minutes. And I hit a personal PR goal that was something I never thought I could do. My goal the first several times was like cross the finish line and don't die.
Well, that's pretty much what my goal would be.
That's common. But then that was that first half marathon that I hit for my friend Shannon's 40th birthday in Chicago.
I remember that. Yep.
Still remember crossing the finish line. And there's this giant gold statue that's like 40 feet tall. I have absolutely no memory of seeing that statue. I am still teased about this, because I do not remember that lady, that giant gold statue at the finish line, but I remember crossing with the 2:10 pacer, which was my goal, which was 15 minutes faster than my last half. And I went and hugged her and I cried, and she took a picture with me. And I was just like, I can't believe I did this. And so then fast forward, COVID,
all the things.
You
struggled,
things.
Right? Like you struggled in that last one.
It was that death by 1,000 cuts, just tiny little declines, nothing huge, but just those tiny declines. And all of a sudden I'm running I think it would have been my 13th half marathon. And it was hard because it was one of the first half marathons I ran without my normal little running crew that supports me, that makes it.
Community matters, right?
Yep. Community. And none of them could do that one. One was injured. And so I was alone, and, and that shouldn't have mattered, because this is about my journey. And, and I kept telling myself that, and my body hurt. I was running going, I didn't eat what I should have been eating for the last couple of weeks. I was not fueling my body the way I should have been. And I crossed that finish line and I cried again, but not the good kind of tears. I was just like, that was miserable. And I
You
remember
almost thought you didn't want to run anymore.
I did. I remember driving home with my running partner, Sarah. And I looked at her and I said, I think I'm done. I think that was like my body's way of saying, you are done. Running is not your thing. You had your day in the sun and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, no, that is not true. Like,
was she like, no, call Carrie?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, no, I really think I think my knees hurt, my foot hurt. I was like, I'm just done. My body is telling me that this is just not me. And that's okay. And I was like, trying to tell myself that's okay.
Yeah. But then you called me.
Not because I love it.
Yeah.
I love crossing the finish line. I love the journey that it takes to get there. Yes. Because it's a huge struggle for me. Running does not come easy to me.
But I mean, I think that's a metaphor for life, right? And like you cross that finish line, which is just really a mile marker. Right.
Exactly.
And then you have another one to cross and another one to cross. And that's how we have to keep moving and just continue to up our goals. But I think you just bring in a real, like you are so disciplined. And if you can fall off, right. And realize without even realizing it, that you're kind of off course. Imagine I want people to not feel that level of guilt. You just got to then get back on. And I always say your next meal is only 3 hours away.
Exactly. Well, and that was, I think that we're taught this mentality, not intentionally, but I think that a lot of people are taught this mentality that if you fail or have that cheat meal or, you miss, I missed a run. I missed several runs last week just due to bad weather, whatever. And jumping back in is always hard, but it's not impossible. And I think we're taught this mentality of, I've failed. I've already fallen off the bandwagon. I can't start till Monday. Monday's my first start. And I'm like, I've had that mentality so many times. And now I'm like, no, if I miss a run, that's fine. Go out and run the next day.
And even if you don't run as long as you should, because you ran out of time.
Exactly.
Something is better than nothing, right?
Exactly. And then it's the same with the nutrition.
Yes.
Your meals weren't perfect. I was up at the ski area and had limited options, and I was still able to find options that worked. And it wasn't flawless.
No,
but it was still better. And I felt better. And I didn't feel deprived whatsoever. I ate tamales with green chili stew and just made sure, I had my protein. I had enough of my nutrients so that I felt good all day.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent.
Exactly.
Which is exactly the theme of what running really is. And the way that you're running a marathon or a half marathon is not because you're sprinting. It's not because you're perfect, but you're consistently showing up, doing the training little by little. So when you called me in December, you were like, yeah, this is I'm not where I need to be. And you decided not to give up on yourself. Yep. And that's when I just said, we kind of assessed what it was that you're doing. And you're like, I got to get back on. I got to do another, an actual reset, with some accountability. I introduced you to where we were at the Kyani products, because I know that the right supplementation along with the right nutrition is going to fuel your body. So where are you now in this whole journey?
So I've been doing the reset, and I'm kind of modifying based on my mileage. With the reset, I do not fully cut grains and sweet potatoes because those are huge. Certain grains and sweet potatoes in particular are huge for running. Really good fuel for running. So I still include some of that. But I did the 21-day reset, and I will tell you within less than 3 days. That's for me. I know everybody's body is different. For me, just in cutting sugar, just in the consistency of eating PFC in 3 days, my gut in particular, which I tend to have a lot of gut issues and pain, feels amazing. I go to bed.
This is what's awesome. So because we ended up partnering with Kyani and Mark McDonald and developing what I call the target version of our larger program, you were like, I want to try that. I want to see how I do with that. And putting the right supplementation. And I especially think, okay, let's be honest, you're older than you were 4 years ago when you started, right? So adding the right supplementation with nitric oxide and collagen and all of those things is absolutely going to help your performance physically.
Yeah. So the collagen is huge for me with running because I tend to get a lot of knee pain.
Yes.
And so I take a collagen at night. And when I do my collagen at night, just the consistency, I do notice within about a week, I notice that my knee pain tends to get a lot better.
It's amazing.
It's
and
so
you're not going to
helpful.
be able to replenish that in food. And
Exactly.
so I love that you kind of called me back and said, all right, what do you got for me? And I said, I want you to trial this. I want you to see how this works for you, because a 3-week reset with these products, I think are really going to make a difference for you. And you are like, now like, Carrie, I need you're an ambassador now, like actually an official ambassador with Disruptive Nutrition, and really working with women to be able to support them, because your journey is so powerful. You know so much now. And what I know is that the 21-day reset option is one for people like you, who honestly are disciplined, are able, like, need this information, but can have someone like you to kind of guide them and support them, who knows this stuff at a really deep level.
Absolutely.
And so I do think that knowing about knowing it at the level that you do for as long as you've been doing this, and the fact that you're a teacher, you're uniquely qualified to be able to support people in their own journey now. And what I always say is, it's a responsibility. Now that you know this, I mean, you're even teaching your students this stuff.
Oh yeah, we have discussions about it because my students are constantly commenting on how much I eat. And then they'll be like, yeah, but look at what she's eating. And so, I mean, it just will randomly, it's very organic. We don't, because they're constantly commenting on it. We'll talk about, yeah, but look what I'm eating. I'm having hard-boiled eggs and strawberries, or
and that they're protein, fats, and carbs. I mean,
exactly.
It's teachable moments like that. And they asked you about like goldfish crackers, like you probably never eat goldfish, and you're like, I love goldfish.
I do. Goldfish saved me when I was pregnant. It was about all I could stomach.
Right. But you understand what goldfish is,
exactly,
and how to have it in a balanced way.
Exactly. My kids eat goldfish all the time. I just always, we talk about, hey, if you're going to have a bag of goldfish, let's have some protein with it. My daughter loves smoked salmon. She will.
Oh, I love that.
I know. My 9-year-old eats, she's bougie with what she eats. She does not want a piece of pizza. She wants a salad and some smoked salmon, and then just a really good sushi roll. And I'm, we struggle with her with breakfast because she hates eggs. She has a massive aversion to eggs. So I'm like, okay, what do you want? You gotta have some kind of protein. She'll do a lot of Greek yogurt and stuff like that, but I'm like, you have to have some protein with what you're eating. She's like, I'll eat protein. Just get me the smoked salmon. I'm like,
some lox, I need lox, that's so fancy.
But we just talk about adding that stuff in and just being balanced. And like, that's kind of the discussion that comes up at school a lot too, because the kids comment on it constantly.
And they don't know it. And what I love about the way that we eat and what we teach is it based in science, 100%. And I love that you've been with us for as long as you have, because living this lifestyle for as long as you have with your running crew, I just think is an amazing testimonial to everybody. I mean, not only are you guys all like athletic and all of that, but it's just, you've gotten to another level of health. And so one, yes, is it based in science? Two, can you do this forever? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's your body. You cannot lose weight and get healthy doing something different than you're going to do to maintain it.
Exactly. And that's
two different things.
What I love is I don't ever feel like I'm depriving myself. Yes, during a 21-day reset or during your 4 weeks to wellness, I cut certain things to reset my body, to recharge. For me, doing the initial 4 weeks to wellness taught me certain things that were causing harm to my body. And things that my body did not do well with, just like an allergy diet. We had to do that with my son, I think when he was 3 years old, as an elimination diet through an allergist to try to determine what was causing his eczema and certain other allergies that he was dealing with. When I initially started your program, it was no different than that. It wasn't. And also having that mindset of, it's not a diet. I'm trying to figure out how my body best works and how I can best fuel myself.
I mean, we recently did an episode for Valentine's Day around our body's love language. And when you can start to speak your body's love language, it's amazing how you and your body can communicate like a good couple should.
Exactly.
Exactly. And your body wasn't communicating with you. You were pushing it and it was pushing back. And that's when you initially started working with us years ago. But, the fact that you can do this forever. But the third question I always ask is, would you let your kids do it? And the fact that your kids are doing it, you're teaching your students this. No way would you be standing in front of your students, teaching them how to fast or do keto. And if we wouldn't teach that to our students or to our children, then we really need to ask ourselves why we think we should do that to ourselves, especially when there's a more satisfying, more effective way.
For sure. And I mean, it actually, the whole PFC lifestyle and nutrition goes right along with our healthy science curriculum that we're required to teach in 5th grade.
Finally, are we stopping with the food pyramid?
So it's, I mean, it goes along with the whole idea of balancing and eating frequently and just keeping your body fueled and balanced. Not depriving, because they're kids. My kids want to eat donuts and cupcakes and things like that. And I don't want them to have an unhealthy relationship with food and kind of thinking I can never have this. I want them to learn you can, in moderation, and balance elsewhere. You need to have that balance. You need to fuel your body. And I love, Carrie, one of my favorite things that I always tell people, because when I called you and I was like, okay, the one thing, I cut my coffee once, I have my one little, I call it my guilty pleasure, but I don't feel guilty having it, because
that's so important.
I know that I am fueling myself. And you said you have things that fuel your body and you have the things that fuel your soul. And you have to know when is it something that I'm using to fuel my soul, because this is what is bringing me joy, with the difference of there are certain things that fuel my soul but harm my body. And in that case, I have to look at that and go, hey, I know that this harms my body. This does not, I will pay for this later because I won't feel good when
it's not worth it.
It's not even worth it. And changing and using the Kyani stuff really consistently and making just small shifts in my nutrition, I never feel deprived. I don't feel like I'm holding anything back. I still enjoy what I want to enjoy when I want to enjoy it. I'm really disciplined during my 21-day reset because I know the benefit of what comes out of that. And for me, just like I said, 3 to 5 days and my everything feels better. My runs are faster. I'm back to running again after taking several months off.
I love that. And you thought you were done.
I was done. And actually, a lot of that came from the fact that my birthday was a couple weeks ago. I turned 39. I will be 40 next year. And I have always for years had a goal of running the Disney Dopey Challenge, which is 48.6 miles over the course of 4 days, a 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon. I have never run a full marathon. It has been a goal of mine for about 5 years. And a year ago I was like, nope, not doing it. I'm just not. And now I feel so great. I am like, it's going to be a hard race. I know that, but I'm going for it.
Oh, I'm so excited. We should be there. I want to be there and cheer you on.
Come to Disney.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing. So you guys cheer Erica on. I want us to be like sharing in your story for the next year. This can be your accountability. Our diet disruptors can hold you accountable. For making that a reality. But I love that. So it's like the concept of just, retraining, revisiting, resetting, and knowing that, again, this is always a race. Like we're never really done. You're continuously pushing yourself and giving yourself new goals. And so I just love that you're an inspiration to so many people, not only to your own family, but to your students. And I know to all of these people, and then the people that you now are. I love that you're like, okay, I know this, and I'm a good teacher. I have a responsibility to share this with others. And so being an ambassador and being kind of a representative of supporting people through this, I think is so powerful. So if you out there are listening to this and you're like, oh, I think I want to try a 21-day reset, like dip my toes in, or if I want to try some of the products that we know really can be just a first step, maybe that's like your entry point into this. Or you want to dig deeper into really digging into disruptive nutrition's mindset work along with the food. There's so many options for people. We will meet you wherever you are. So put in the comments, I'm ready. If you are ready to do something, you might not be sure what it is that you want to do, but put in the comments, I'm ready. And then we will reach out to you and help you figure out what exactly that is. Right. And we can do a call with you. We can email with you. We can figure it out. Erica, I'm so excited that you're on this journey with us. I know there's so many people you're going to be supporting. You're already supporting and also pushing yourself to new goals too. So you're amazing.
Thank you. And thank you for your support, because I mean, without Without it, I very likely would have quit my running, and just being able to make those shifts has made such a huge difference in my journey. And that's what it is. It's a journey. I am nowhere near where I want to be yet, but I know it's coming.
But imagine where you were from 4 years ago to now.
Huge.
Right? I just say, we just talk about 1% progress each day. That's all it is. And so you have some big goals to crush this year, and we'll be there right by your side. So cheer Erica on, put some love in the comments, and let her know that you're going to be watching and cheering her alongside her family, her students, her friends, and all the people that she's supporting. Erica, you're amazing. You're not just this incredible vision of a woman in red. You are a runner. You are resetting. You are just complete, total motivation and inspiration for people. So thank you for sharing this. It wasn't so bad, right?
No, not too bad.
You did great. Tell Erica.
Super fun.
It was fun. Tell her she did a great job. Tell her she did a great job, you guys. All right, Erica, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Carrie.